Okay. Oh, okay.
Let's just go. So, firstly, let me start by saying thanks for joining us today. It's a bit of a weird time. I hope everyone is doing okay and well out there, not going outside too much.
Yeah. Who's got the drinks?
We've all got drinks.
Yeah, I
Craig,
got one.
Craig's
Can you
not
hear me?
back. Sarah's
my
on
ice
the
cubes.
Tim?
Yeah.
Tim hasn't got it. No.
Tim's got a nice cup of Thai tea. Thai tea.
Thai tea.
tea.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, he's okay.
So is that a bottle of golden bollocks? Total bollocks.
Okay.
Okay. The point of us doing this was just to bring a bit of community spirit back in and to do something where we're putting something back. There's a lot of these things starting off now. There's a few people doing stuff, but the idea is that pretty much we can talk and have a chat about anything that's current at the moment. Everyone's talking about COVID-19 and how we're being affected with a lockdown. We're all going a little bit stir crazy. Actually, as a business, we're super busy because a lot of people want to go online and start ordering. But I thought we'd do something maybe once, twice a week. We're going to do it twice a week, just talking about the things that are of interest to people, things that we can help. If there's anybody out there that wants to be able to place orders and we've got the tools to do that, then we'll do that anyway. It's not about making money. It's about trying to get through where we are now and come out the other side and all of us remain in one piece. So that's the sentiment that's behind it. We've had quite a lot of interest. There's still a few people ticking through, trying to come through and coming onto it. I'm going to record this just so people can have access to it. And Milo, my glamorous barmaid, has created the Crown Pub page on LinkedIn. It'd be great if you got involved. It'd be great if we're connected. It is something we can do to help each other. Then by all means, you don't need to go through us. You can just connect, and a lot of us know who we are anyway. So the purpose of today, we're going to talk about workflow. Workflow is a really good open-ended discussion. There's no real answer to it, and it's quite hard defining the questions around it. So what we've done is we've just pushed a few topics around. We've got a couple of people here who know quite a bit about workflow, particularly our own Craig, who is very experienced in the subject, but we've all got quite a lot of experience, and Neil's joined us as well, and he's got a vast of experience of helping a whole multitude of businesses. So Milo, over to you. Why don't you ask the questions?
Well, I'm still looking for whether everyone is here, but because I looked at the invite and our pub was supposed to have thousands of people.
That's okay.
But no, it's looking good. We have invited a couple of more people. I don't know if we wait or shall we start now?
Yeah, let's go.
Anyway, thank you very much for coming to our pub, which is brilliant. Hopefully you all have nice snacks and drinks, and yeah, we can crack on with it. Well, I as you know, I came to Vpress and to our pub quite recently from completely different background, so I don't know much about workflows. So
Kelvin.
Kelvin has very sophisticated answer, and I don't comprehend as much, I guess. So my question would be, what is workflow, and how does it work? Where's the starting point of workflow? Where do we start? So maybe Craig could answer my question, please, Craig. If you're at the bar and can answer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll just chuck this out there because I'm sure there's other people that can sort of elaborate on certain areas. But I suppose for me, if someone says sort of like workflow, it's how do we handle an actual order process from the initial order, how that actually comes into the business, and because lots of people got lots of different systems, different software systems. So how do we actually take that order and then process that through all those systems efficiently, and which way do different type of orders go, and what actually happens with those orders, and trying to cut out all of the admin to be more efficient, reducing errors. But I said there about actually, I said there about the actual order. It could really be the initial engagement, because it could be a request for quote. It might not be an order. So, you know, how do we actually manage all those processes? And for us, you know, from the web sprint side, if we get an order coming through us or an RFQ, how do we push that through into the next stage, which is normally the MIS? So again, no manual intervention, no keying stuff in, but actually customers place their order, we've taken that order, confirmed it, maybe they're paid for it, and then we need to push that into the next stage of the workflow, normally the MIS. So I think we've got, we should have a couple of MIS guys actually here.
Is Lean already here?
No,
I can...
no. There's no MIS guys, so we can talk about behind the back.
Oh, okay, that's all right. And so if it goes into the MIS, I mean, it didn't really matter what you're doing. I mean, the Thurston guy was supposed to be in, so is Rico as well. But you know, if they're Slingshot product, but it doesn't really matter which MIS. We can push it into the MIS, and then it knows exactly which pre-press workflow to push it into. So this is a litho job, this is a digital job, this is a large format, this is Flexo. This needs to go to Heidelberg's press room manager. This needs to go over there to ESCO's automation engine. This has to go over there. And then it'll actually then automatically flow that through the order with the assets through into those systems. And once you actually make that handshake with those systems as well, you should get feedback coming back. So you can actually track it. So track where the job is. Has it been ripped? Has it gone onto the press? Has it gone into finishing? And all those messages come back. And then they're disseminated to all the other systems. So people can come onto our system online as well and actually see where the job is. Or it then populates it and arranges for couriers to come and collect it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of like workflow is sort of like when the order comes in this instance, and where does it actually need to go to? Which device does it need to go to? Which other system? And all those systems are like connected together. That's a little bit more about automation and things like that, but they all sort of sit together. I mean, I would invite anybody else to sort of like say anything about their experiences, maybe of workflow. Some people, for example, this Switch cracking piece of software as well. But, you know, Switch is a great bit of kit. I don't know if anybody uses that sort of thing. I don't know if Sarah's gang uses that product.
Sarah, you must manage thousands of orders coming in at Route 1. There must be loads of orders coming through.
Yes, so we get between 5,000 and 6,000 orders a day under normal circumstances, and that is all managed by the workflows. Yeah, I know we use Switch. I don't know the extent to which processes are used with what, but everything that comes in from the website just goes to the correct press, and we use an amount of load bearing jobs that we change the algorithm for each day. So if we've got a litho press down, we might change that to digital. If the lander's producing on that day and not on maintenance, then we'll put things onto there. But we'd never handle all those jobs manually. We couldn't do that with a production controller.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the thing. And you switch to manage a lot of that, do you? So Switch will actually have a workflow for this is a certain type of product. So this needs to go over to this device or another device. It needs to be pre-flighted and checks a pre-flight, checks a trapping the bleed, the font, the resolution, etc., etc. Do you do that?
We use Pitstop for the artwork and Switch for the routing, but we look at substrate quantity. We've also started recently looking at total area coverage as well. So we take into account how expensive the inks are on the presses. So some jobs that might ordinarily go down one press, if it's a low ink coverage job, we might decide to move it to another press. The same if it's a high ink coverage job, we wouldn't put it on, for example, the screen true press because we know they're really expensive for ink. We've had a lot of different presses.
Alan,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Alan, what about you as you take a drink there? I mean, you must manage workflow, the number of jobs coming through.
Yeah, I mean, a combination of Quick OS and obviously OneFlow, also Pitstop, and at the moment we're about to start integrating with Pace. So trying to work on like load bearing, not anywhere sophisticated as areas about ribbons, because obviously more of a jobbing printer than a transactional. You know, obviously taking thousands of orders for that. each hour. You know what I mean? But obviously, the transactional printers within the group obviously have got their own workflows and things like Empower, obviously for invoicing and that sort of stuff, which is obviously bespoke software. But generally, great advocate of obviously in Focus, Switch, Pitstop, the whole suite of that. Obviously now cloud-based. And pretty much I was on called Barcelona this morning to show me the next release of what they're obviously bringing out, which at the moment is subject to how much pain you want in your life if you really want to sort of integrate with it. But it all depends on the type of jobs you do. And obviously across the multiple sites, obviously, the group's got, it's not so, how can I put it, it's a different solution each site. It's really customised for what's needed. But back in, as you all know, John Charnock's days, it's a jobbing printer scenario within my group. And I say not high volume, B2C, where it's all B2B.
Yeah, 20 years ago when we started and this shirt was still fashionable, I always thought I always thought web to print would become part of MIS, and that would be what printers use now. And this is my view, not everybody else's. Now I think more web to print in MIS all going to join together and become more web. Because it's all about managing the one thing about the current situation tells us now is that you have to those jobs that scale coming in that offers redundancy, especially now, and also maintains profitability. So I think workflow is essential, probably the most essential part of that. Neil, you must go into a lot of different print printers in order to see what different printers work. And we all those of us go into different print companies. Someone's got their microphone. There's those of us that go we see different things. So you must have some experience, Neil.
You're breaking up.
Was it me? Was it?
I don't know.
You're breaking up a bit there.
I'm actually, funny enough, I'm working from home and Virgin Media is crap, honestly. So.
You sound very good now.
Is that better?
It's much better now.
That's better.
Yeah, so
If you want, you can start your question again.
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying was that web to print and MIS, I always thought would come together. Web to print would be part of MIS, but really, workflow seems to be the combination of the two. And I was just asking Neil because Neil, you speak to loads of printers, don't you? You go to different companies. What do you think?
The funny thing is, workflow seems
Neil
to be
Falcon, not Neil Bridgeland. Sorry.
That's nice, isn't it? Charles.
Just plain I want to go first then. No, part of the issue is when we go in and look at a lot of companies who are implementing MIS and things like that, they don't tend to have a holistic view of the whole business. So they put an MIS in as a separate kind of project and implementation. They do elements of workflow. They don't look at, what the customer wants, their business, their types of products, and really look at the dynamics of the whole business. So it all tends to be a bit piecemeal. We've been into companies and it's obvious what they're doing web to print. They can never make any money on it because they've got all these manual touch points, and so they're then reluctant to look at the workflow. For example, there's people trying to use MIS and web to print for large format work, for example. So you've got a lot of manual handling, different finishing operations. So unless you can really look at the whole piece together, you tend to find you've got these segmented projects that never really fit, never really come together. And more, if you're doing things online, if you can't actually really efficiently streamline everything, you're just not making money out of the jobs that you should do. It's still a huge problem.
Yeah, it still is a huge problem. Neil this time, Neil Bridgeland, you go into printers as well. Do you see this when you go into these companies?
Don't answer him, Neil. Don't answer
No,
him.
I was going to say, do you know what, Sodja? My opinion's not worth it then.
I tell you, ever since he's had a couple of beers after the test period, he's gone a bit loopy.
Yeah,
go on,
cheers,
Neil.
guys.
Sorry, go on, Neil.
No, just, my thought was that so many printers I talk to have such unique workflows that they've developed over the years that sometimes you have to try and say, look, you have to go back to basics and use what's available rather than actually make an MI system do what you're trying to do, what you do now, because you've developed such a unique way of working because you've had to, but it doesn't usually fit. You need to actually rethink how you work now.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. We've had a couple of questions come up. So Terry's asking about MISs in the market. So Terry Turner from Priority. There's no one really here from an MIS company per se. There's a whole range of solutions that are in the market. I don't think as a web to print company we can say what is good and what is bad. We can say what we integrate into and what we don't integrate into. Craig?
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. It's not there's not one MIS to fit all. You know, if you're a Flexo, if you're doing Flexo, you're doing point of sale large format, or you're doing traditional litho, or you're doing just a digital house, whatever you are, there's just a different MIS would suit each individual one, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. There's nothing wrong with them at all.
Well, there's a couple that don't integrate into anything, so.
Well, okay, yeah, a couple of them have got their head in the sand a bit, but we're trying to be positive, Kel. We're trying to be
positive. We're not mentioning the company down on the south coast who don't integrate into anything, but there's a lot of MIS. I think it depends on your point and where you want to go. Sorry, Neil Faulkner.
Just a point on that, Kelvin. One of the key things that we find from print companies is they don't take the time to put a brief and a spec together. They tend to expect an MIS company to come in, solve their problems, where we've worked on projects for like 6 months with a company just to spec an MIS system, because by nature, it's a management information system, which means it manages your business. So all aspects of it, from production to quoting, estimating, the whole pre-press, the lot. And therefore, if you don't really understand your business, and as Neil was saying, almost take the business apart and then reassemble it as you want it to be going forward, you're always going to be struggling.
Yeah, that is a really good point. I think a lot of the time the printers don't actually know what they're looking for, and are looking for a solution rather than actually concentrating on the questions to find a solution. So it is a difficult market. It is like a heart transplant when you're looking for an MIS system, and there's plenty of people out there willing to take your money. Just a quick welcome to Dave Cotter. Congratulations, he's just become a father. Paul Keeley and Kelly Harris, who's there. Watch the sun on your head, mate. It looks like you've got a bit of sunshine going on there. You're just better late than never, guys. So yeah, we're just talking about MIS workflow. I actually think web to print, obviously because I'm a web to print guy, is a key part of workflow. It fires the orders into any workflow-based system and offers lots of advantages. It's great to hear other people's opinions, what they're doing. Elizabeth, I mean, you're quite... Were you shopping? What do you think?
Not technically, no. Not technically. About MIS systems, about the integration of web to print?
About workflow. You use MIS at work, don't you?
Yeah, I use MIS, and obviously historically I've used quite a lot of these types of things in various former lives and so on and so forth. MIS it's very much got a place, and obviously it needs to provide what people are looking for, which means that every single organisation is looking out of a box for a completely bespoke system, and that's one of the biggest problems. And half the time it's not until they go click 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 and they go, oh, why can't I do that anymore? Oh, I'll just get onto them and they'll do that in a flash, and they expect everything to happen 5 minutes ago because that's how they work. A lot of times it's reactive rather than proactive. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of there's still a few dinosaurs out there. There's still a few dinosaurs out there, whichever way you want to turn it.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of, yeah, but we've never had this problem before. Wonder why. I wonder why you've never had this problem before. But yeah, I do think that, and especially in the environment where I am now, looking at obviously election type materials, there is an increasing demand for the two to talk to each other. So you're looking at the MIS system, you're looking at workflows, you're looking at web to print, all of these elements coming together, because your MIS is controlling your sort of print side of the scenario. You've got a workflow that's pulling all of this legislative driven material together. And then you've got sort of the client who's looking for this web interface, because half the time they're reacting to something, and everything on the election side is completely up against a timetable that nobody has any input against. There is no, you cannot turn around and say, really sorry that we're not delivering your poll cards or we've not given them to Royal Mail. It doesn't cut the mustard, because it's not them asking for it, it's the government telling you it has to happen then. And that's where I think there is a gap in the market. But there is a lot of history, and there's a lot of older systems that kind of need to be updated in order to bring that technology into the fore.
I would agree with you on that, because what I'm taking from you is that there's no one solution for everybody. You know, you really need to find out what it is that you want to achieve with an MIS system, and then find out what is actually out there in the market.
We should find out now. Sorry, I was wondering, because I saw that Jeremy Hall from Rico just joined us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so Jason, Jeremy, Neil, and Lucy have just joined us as well. So we started a little bit early, but we don't really have a time limit. No one's got to go anywhere, have they?
Yeah.
I pop down the shops. No, you're not. So we've already started the conversation, and we've started about workflow, just to bring everyone up to speed. We started about workflow, what it is, what it does, how we manage it, how it leads into a bit of web to print, but it's not just web to print, it's about managing orders. Elizabeth's just given us a great synopsis on how really there's no one solution that fits everybody, because different businesses want different things from an MIS system. So Jeremy, with your background and being an MIS provider, what do you think? Where do you think MIS fits in? What are the advantages of an MIS system, and how does it complement workflow? And indeed, is it workflow?
So yeah, sorry. Hi all. Is the music really loud, or is it me?
It's you.
The music played in the background.
No, the jukebox is turned off, mate.
I could hardly hear voices.
No, it's definitely you. It's not me. It's you.
But I get the gist of talking MIS and how important it is within a workflow.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, the MIS should be the hub of any business, not just the workflow. It should be the hub of the business, because not only are you going to be receiving into it and processing orders and processing purchase orders and processing invoices through it, but you're also going to be pushing out the back end of it as well. So anything that you've got in your business workflow-wise that are on the peripheral of an MIS system should obviously integrate into it. But for me, it's the hub of your business. Nothing should work outside of it.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. So in answer, just in a summary for you, Terry, you've really got to find out what you want from that MIS provider. Be wary of systems that don't connect to other third parties. Web to print is just one of those aspects. There's a lot of companies who are working standalone and not really connecting to anything. And any solution in this market, within our sector, needs to integrate and communicate with everything. Whatever your customer has, or whatever your customer...
I mean, one thing that I think that's been self-evident to me anyway in the last 18 months is I had no idea what an API was. I still don't really know what an API is or how it works, but the reality is those three magic words means that things can talk to each other quite easily. Exactly. So whatever systems we're buying, whether we're buying Vpress solutions, whether we're buying web to print solutions, whether we're buying MIS, everything should have this API connectivity, because that makes that much easier to customize all the different components together.
Yeah, completely.
And there is one very important thing that you very clever software people forget, and you forget this every day. People like me are technically thick as a barn door.
You don't
and
hide
when you use lots of acronyms and lots of technical speak, it's really hard. Some of the printers that I meet, I sometimes surprised how they get out of bed in the morning. But the hardworking people don't understand the jargon.
Trust somebody that tried to bamboozle me in science, because at the end of the day, if I can't understand the basics of it, then I wouldn't trust them. So I think that irrespective of the language or technology or whatever is specified, I would be more inclined to somebody that was speaking to me in a language that I understood, whether it's an acronym, whether it's some sort of technical understanding. We've all got a basic technical understanding, but isn't that really what we're paying these people for? Is that technical knowledge that they've got?
Good point.
Yeah, well, maybe. I think, although there's that bullshit Backles brains. That's gone around for a long time, and I guess the trouble when you're talking to one vendor is that how objective are they going to be about what's available in the marketplace. So that's why trade associations, like the one you're involved with, Kelvin, that they offer this advice for members to give a sort of a basic level requirement if you're going to go out and buy something. And then it's up to you to talk to individual suppliers about those little nuances that you might like.
If none of us take anything away from today, it's the fact there are other people there that can talk to, especially in this, people that you're meeting here in this pub today, in order to help. You can always speak. And Terry, I definitely extend that out. If we exchange contact details, Lucy, who joined us late, has just raised a good point. If you could just let people know where you're from when you speak, that'd be good. So we've kind of started on workflow, talked a little bit about web to print, and now we've gone into MIS, which is obviously the heart of any production-based business. Where do you think it's going to go? I mean, I made the comment before, for those of you that have joined us from after when we started, that I believe that it's all going to merge into one. Alan, I mean, you work in the same market as myself. Have you got anything to add there?
Yeah. In fairness, I've got the gentleman attending number 6. I've met in the past. So it's the gentleman number 6.
We don't have numbers, mate. We've got names.
Well, it says attending 6.
Number 6. Well, Paul Stead.
Yeah. You're number 7, Alan. I'm number 6.
That's Paul Stead.
Okay. Sorry, mate. A gentleman with a white shirt was talking about making sure about MIS and scope of works and.
Craig Smith.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello, mate. Yeah. So you said concur.
Sorry
about that. All right. There's no system that would basically encompass and look after everything you want from start to finish, regardless if that's just a business card, book to print, in and out. There's just nothing there. The old API scenario, quite correct, that as long as that is all working up to date, kept in line with obviously 2.0 and obviously future proofing is what it's about. And so Recode with Advanced Slingshot, EFI with Pace, Fastens, all of those, they've all got great attributes and they're perfect in certain scenarios, but not any of them can cope with looking after everything you want, which is very painful. I mean, while it's a little scope of my sort of MIS, I went to a printer who deals with like 4,000 different PDFs every day, and at the moment we've got like 16 different workflow scenarios to deal with, like the sectors that he's in, and someone who PHP coding, Java, everything else. So he's it's an entry level sort of MIS technician, where he's learned it himself. And when I've met with Recode, EFI, none of them can cope with the whole, like encompassing the whole thing. You know, with EFI, obviously you've got the fiery rip, the APIs, postbacks and everything regarding like, you know, job tracking, cost analysis and everything else. But as you know, as said previously, it's all about you scoping all the information up front, do the technical document to give the MIS company half a chance in delivering what you actually want. It's only down to the weakness of the customer asking the MIS company to say, this is what I want, and they don't know how to like explain or express that. And I think the conjure or the you know, the positiveness in, you know, building a relationship with any supplier is that person take that pain or that barrier away.
But say, do you think though that that half when I've been involved in a number of businesses that have integrated or bought multiple different MIS systems, and certainly there's a number of companies that will supply a system, and just say, yeah, what do you want, Mr. Prince? So yeah, here's what you want, but actually a true consultative approach would be to go in and say, yeah, I hear what you want, but actually this is what I think you need as a supplier. This is what your business needs.
So
and this
Kelly,
is what my system can bring you.
So Kelly, just to comment on what Alan said, so there's 2 points to that. Is the printer communicating to the MIS company what exactly he wants? And is the MIS company providing the service to meet the communication expectation that they're receiving? So there's 2 parts to that.
Like, if you get both those correct, and let's say working in harmony, then you've got the Holy Grail, and then you've then got someone who then wants it all the same, and someone that wants to supply. And at the moment, you know, people are not scalable. So there's, you know, experts in the industry, you know, that, you know, have projects with other companies, and I can only do 2 weeks in your job and everything else, and we want to be passionate and deliver you the full product. It's all about individual, let's say, aptitudes as opposed to, you know, companies supplying the service.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. We find that in selling software. Tim, our own Tim Cox, can you complement what Alan's just said, and Kelly's counter statement as well?
Sorry, I got to mute myself. I think everybody's covered it, really. I think that it's more importantly, I think the most important factor is really understanding what it is.
Your microphone's not working, mate. Tim, your microphone's not working.
Have you got Virgin Internet?
Okay.
I think he's got. He's got. Right, he's going to dial in. So I'm going to tread water while Tim dials in. Do that. So yeah,
I'm already here.
Ah, right, he's already here. Okay, Tim, can you just make sure your speaker's off on your PC so there's no feedback?
All done.
Yeah.
No, PC, Tim.
That definitely is Tim.
John's got to come in from 2 places, isn't she?
So listen,
How's that?
Yeah, that's much better. There you go. Excellent. Yeah.
Cool. I think everybody's covered most of it. The main thing I think is understanding what the customer wants, which will either be told to everybody as a supplier what they need, or I would imagine a degree of consultancy is going to be needed, which is very much the same with when we sell web to print. You know, if someone's selling workflow, Alan, you'll probably say the same thing about things when you've got involved in it. Nowadays, it's gone from selling products on feature benefits as consultative. You've really got to understand what the customer needs. One of the biggest things I think we face is that I'd say 2/3 of every sale is really education rather than even selling. So most of the time, going back to what Elizabeth said, you know, it's actually sitting down with a customer, understanding their needs, speaking their language, and advising and guiding on the way forward on the best advice you can give. But I think one of the other things is that people don't always really understand what integration is. Sometimes it could just be that they just want to pass their information from one system to another so they can save themselves, you know, an enormous amount of manual re-entry of data. Sometimes it needs to be bidirectional, but it needs to come backwards and forwards. So for instance, it might be a live stock update. It might be dynamic pricing. But it could actually even be even more complex than that if we're in, I mean, we do a lot of integration into client systems. So upstream of the ordering and the print and into systems like, I don't know, SAP, Salesforce, Coupa, that kind of thing, which obviously needs a lot more thinking. And sometimes the people you're selling these systems into have got no clue about what sits outside of their own offices, their own factories. So I think it's all consultative. As has been said throughout the whole of this conversation, all of the systems will do what you need. They'll calculate time and motion, etc., within a factory. Some are more comprehensive, some are more kind of industrial strength than others. Some are cloud-based, some are server-based. Some of them will insist upon a particular configuration, so the client or the printer has got to change his business to suit the MIS's processes. Others are a bit more fluid, but it all starts with understanding exactly what it is you want to do and why. I think also, last point, a lot of printers that we deal with and print management companies don't appreciate the grey costs in their business. So they actually don't really see where the return on investment is by buying software or integrating software, because they don't understand the financial implications to their business on the gaps that they're effectively closing. So again, you have to explain to them some of the times where a lot of the manual repetitive processes are that can be eliminated with integration. So it just goes back to the same old thing. It's all consultative, and it's about joining dots. That's how I see it.
I think that's actually well said. I mean, for me, there's three kinds of printers in the market. There's the ones that have embraced automation, are working and are growing and developing, are constantly reinvesting. There's the ones that are looking to do this and are looking for people to help them in order to do it, to move forward, to try and take their business forward, and the ones that just will not accept any change. And I'm not saying that any one of those is right or any one of those is wrong, but the ones that are not accepting that there's any form to change, there's any margin to do things differently, I think they're the ones who are struggling. I know for a fact they're struggling. I'm not even going to try and gloss it up. I know for a fact they're the ones who struggle. The ones that don't change in any industry, any sector, are the ones that are going to struggle. So when we're talking about workflow, we're talking about the jobs coming in to a print production environment. We're talking about not 100% automation, because I think very few companies will achieve that. We're talking partial automation, whether it's 10%, 20%, 50%, 75%, and what we can do in order to automate that. And the MIS system, I actually believe, complements automation, as web to print does, but it's not centric. The most important thing about automation, the most thing about workflow, as I'm moving into automation from workflow, is about how we embrace new technology and how we use technology to take away the repetitive tasks. So just going back to Jeremy from Avanti. So Jez, I mean, you go into printers all the time, as I do. I mean, from an MIS background, not concentrating on the MIS side, I think we've been unable to answer Terry's initial question, but we can point them in the right direction to get some help. Just in regards from an MIS perspective on workflow, how important is it to automate those jobs that are coming into a print business, and why?
Yeah, and I'm just going to quickly just echo a little bit of what Tim said as well there, because I think one of the things that we go back to consultancy, and then I'll answer your question there, Kelvin, is one of the things we've all been guilty of as a consultant is probably running in with some software thinking that we know what the customer needs before we've even understood what they want. Okay, so an approach that we've taken from our point of view is to sit and understand what a customer needs before we start mentioning any software. And that could take one visit, it could take 2 visits, but I think that's important these days because of all the different types of work that any customer is doing. So that's what I wanted to say on that. I think the approach that we take has got to be different with you guys, and we've got to sit and listen and understand what you want before we start getting our laptops out and showing you stuff that's not relevant. Okay. The other thing, so how important is it to obviously reduce those touch points? Is one of the things that we're looking at. Is obviously is the lack of margins that we've got in any work that's going through our business, the time that we need to get work out the door as well, and the fact that we want to make money on stuff. And if we're touching stuff, as soon as we start touching it, at any point we're losing money. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to automate every single job that goes through your business, because you're not. We're going to get to a scenario where we can get 60-70% of it automated, because then the 30% that we can't automate is the complex stuff where we are making decent margins on anyway. So we want to concentrate and focus our time on and improve the way that we take those type of jobs through the system. But like I say, you know, one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is the fact that if we can automate that 60-70% of work over time, then that's a great saving. That's the repetitive stuff that we really don't want to touch, and we want to make those small margins on.
Can I just say, with what you've just said there, it reminded me of Paul Stead. I'm going to bring you in here. I've tried not to bring Paul Stead in from ESL, but I'm going to have to at this point. It reminds me, we ran an event at Precision Printing in Barking, and Gary Peeling had just moved into his new premises. And to show just how important it was to identify the touch points on a job, he started off with a roll of cash. Do you remember that, Paul?
I got shafted. I got none of it.
Tell us, go on.
You give it all back for lack of productivity and crap equipment.
Yeah, you tell us in your dulcet tones what Gary did. Can you remember?
It was very clever. He started with the design of the product and how much it cost, and he was handing out fivers to each person in the line for the particular part of the service they provided. And I was there as a representative of somebody that supplied the hardware, which got me booed. That's nice. And only got me a fiver out of the 140 quid he started with. So whilst equipment is perceived to be the most expensive, a complete load of bollocks. We were worth nothing, and we ended up giving him a rebate at the end because the equipment didn't work. But Gary went along the line saying, you pay for this, you pay for that, then it's not on time, and systematically taking the money back from the people that had given it. And it was probably only 2 or 3 minutes long, but it was a really clever 2 or 3 minutes. If somebody didn't video him on that, big shame. And if they have videoed it, they should be sharing it because it was a real beauty.
It was. He got the message across. Every time you touch a job, you lose money. And if there's enough margin within that job to accept that, then that's fine, because some jobs weren't being touched in going through. But, if you can reduce the touch points and have those jobs coming in, I mean, business cards, a lot of our customers don't even charge for business cards. They make zero profit on them going through because they're just a staple item. They're looking to make money on other products. So it's about that is what he's got there is a prime example of automation, and he was eloquent in the way that he articulated how touching jobs can use money directly out of your pocket. Craig, your experience? Automation. You've been on the dark side of MIS, and you've worked with, the dark overlords in consultancy, and now you're on the bright, chirpy side of web to print, and you're involved with all the happy people.
Indeed. No, I 100% agree. Every time someone touches that job, then you look. I mean, there's been different studies going around, going from sort of like anything from sort of like 20 to 30 euro up to sort of like 60 to 70 euro every time someone has to touch that job. So you've got to get a good workflow, great automation, and just automate as much as you can, because a lot of it is on price, and margins are getting smaller. And if you don't, you are just going to you just lose money as soon as someone touches it. You're going to lose money. So you just need to make it that it gets pre-flighted. It's all pre-flighted, put through to the presses, it's run, and the first time anybody really touches it is pressing the go button on the press, and at the other end grabbing it off the back of the press. There should be a delivery note sat there, invoice sat there, and then boom, put it together and out the door. So that's the aim. That is the aim. You've got to.
Absolutely.
There's just one other. There's just the other side of that as well, which is all very true, but also improving the customer experience. So not only does it save money, that automation, particularly if it's seamless behind the curtain, it can improve the customer service. And that means maybe you can charge more, maybe you get better retention. And certainly with web to print offerings, where you've got people buying online, in this dropship economy, we perhaps moving more towards, that's going to become more and more important.
Well, Kelly, I would say web to print complements that.
When people realise,
absolutely, no, totally, Kelvin, totally, yeah.
Sorry, Paul, go on.
In 3 months' time, when people realise that they don't need to go and see each other half as much as they thought they needed to, that they can do things remotely and touch people without actually being there, hardware salespeople like me will have a hard time. You pretty boys with your youthful look selling software, raking it in. Online, it's just going to get more and more important.
I know the way you winked when you said that to me. I know that was really.
No, I got something in my eye. It wasn't a wink.
So Milo, who started off the question a little while ago, Milo, you asked what workflow was. We've gone into it a little bit deeper than we thought we would. But Milo, does that answer your question?
it does answer my question. Thank you very much, guys, for everything. For the it clarifies a little bit. It's more clear. It's a bit clearer for me than before. So yes, definitely. And I can see the beginning of. I can see the benefits of why in printing industry is such an important thing to have.
Yeah.
It is very puzzling now, as I understand it, that some companies don't want to do it and don't want to use workflow systems. Well, shall I say, a combination of systems that create a proper workflow in each particular business, for each particular business, which is really key to the success of the company, which makes perfect sense.
And I think what we've understood here is there's no.
Valid point.
Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, valid point. I think the biggest skill set is you've been diverse enough to either be focused on web to print as well as like being a dropping printer at the same time.
Yeah.
As example, I visited Harrier August, September last year as they're starting to sort of get towards their Christmas sort of like activity. And as soon as you stick a business card job in their production flow while doing greeting cards and all the the gifting side of it, the staff don't even know what to do. I mean, you track a 20-page sales pitch book at them, like I'm not going to swear on this webinar for obvious reasons, but basically that they can't cope with it. But obviously with Peeling, Proco, Prime, there's been like Harrier as well being all the way to print. They're hugely successful, but there's plenty of like jobbing requests out there. So, as an example, someone walk into one of our sort of like 10 branches in London, pay £100 for like 15 paper, and people like Decision have to print 1,000 sheets and make the same margin on that. So the skill is to basically be able to do both at the same time within the same sort of factory.
Yeah.
Different workflows and different solutions.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of questions come through here. So Terry's had to shoot off. Terry from Priority. He's just mentioned the conversation so far has been very helpful. We have internally written MIS, which is not up to it anymore. And today has been good for me. It means that we have to go away and do a lot of research and consultancy. So, who we got from an MIS point of view? Well, Jeremy, there you go.
Thanks.
So I'll put you in touch with him. And Lucy mentioned a good question. Lucy's from Nutshell Creative. We're going to have another one of these sessions to see how important are creatives in the modern workspace, and can we get rid of them all by using web to print? Not really. No, Lucy, that's not really a subject.
You might want to buy her a watch.
No, but the plan is Lucy just come off. Go on, Lucy, give it to me back. Go on.
No, I was just about to hurl you a load of abuse there, but I'll refrain. Go on, carry on.
No, we want to do more of these sessions, and Lucy, I'm definitely going to call upon you to try and get involved. Get involved on this, and get everyone else involved, bar Paulstead, to engage with some more. Lucy said, what are printers doing to promote automation to their customers? Well, having an online presence is one thing, but that's a good point. I mean, often you go to some printers' websites and say, well, we've got this kit and we've got that kit. And I know there's a couple of Ricoh people on this call as well, but, are customers really bothered about what kind of kit you've got? Really what they want to do is they want to get a price for a job, submit the job, and get the job in a decent time at a decent price with good quality. So,
if it looks good, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I think there's very few customers who go around looking at a job. Sorry, Paul, go on.
When Gary Peeling put me at the end of the line as the equipment supplier, it was with a reason. It wasn't just, well, it might be just because he didn't like me, but the reality was the equipment that will do the job. Right now, forgive me, Brad, I love you, brother, but Ricoh, Canon, Xerox, Konica, and Express, they will all produce as good an image as the others, with a few idiosyncrasies, but by a majority, they will all produce pretty much what you want to sell. It's how you get there that counts, because what I do is the end of it. It's the least important bit.
So what you're saying, Paul, is it's not the end result; it's the journey. Right, I get you. That's a different way of looking at it. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Anyway, so we're coming up.
Kelvin,
Hello, yeah. Any questions?
I'll just throw into that. It's not just the input, the engine being immaterial in the middle. It's what happens at the other end.
Yeah.
When it comes to the press, the finishing, which is all part of that workflow system.
Yeah.
It often.
Okay, so just extend that out. So, you know, we in web to print and MIS, we look at getting the job in and getting the job managed and getting the job processed. But now we're starting to talk about getting the job on machine and getting the job finished, and then we can extend that to getting the job back. So it's all workflow. So the workflow isn't just capturing the job and getting the job in the right way. The workflow is by nature the ability to get and manage that job all the way through and get it back to the customer as a finished item. Do you agree?
Which determines which engine you use and which compatible finishing equipment they have in line.
Good.
Said.
Point. And that was Brad Hyde from Rico speaking. Emphasis.
Yeah, on a Friday afternoon when the Rico breaks down, you have to then put on the Xerox.
Ricos never break down.
Right.
There's no point relying on Xerox on a Friday. They're booked off home on a Thursday afternoon. But
I think you'll find
we recently, some of you will know, we recently had a Print with Pride event where we made some Easter egg boxes, some personalised Easter egg boxes. And now I took some spare ones into the ASL office and gave them to the women in the admin office. And they were happy to get the Easter egg box, but one of them was even more fascinated with a flat box that hadn't been assembled to the finished result because she wanted to sit and build it herself. Can't win.
Yeah, you can't win. Maybe hand finishing, giving people the ability to finish their own jobs. Maybe there's legs in that. I know some printers who do produce jobs where customers do have to finish the jobs themselves, but I don't think that's always on purpose. I've seen a couple of those jobs. Listen, is there any questions?
Guys,
we're coming to the end. Yeah, we're coming to the end.
It looks like we're coming to the end. The subject is well discussed, I believe. So I don't know if there are any questions from. I don't see all the questions. Kelvin is the only one who can see all the list in the chat box. But I guess is it all completed now, or do we have some more that we could answer later on our Crown Pub LinkedIn page?
What I'll do is
Can I just say one thing, Kelvin?
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
Kelvin, it's Jez.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it's great having all of these workflows and having them all linked together. But I think that one of the biggest things for me going forward in this world that we're changing into is having communication from those systems as well, and transparency from those systems, and being fed information easily and quickly from those systems as well. You know, these systems have lots and lots and lots of data, but if we can replicate that into different departments, into customer services, and to our customers and end users easily where their products are, and communicate that out simply, I think that's key to a good workflow as well.
I think that's that's a really good point. Well made. Yeah, I think it's a good point. I would say we're never going to completely answer the subject. Sorry, who's that?
It's you echoing somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever going to be able to answer. Jason, I think that's you. I think you've got. Jason, I think that's you.
I don't think that's me actually.
Okay, someone's left their microphone on. If you could just mute, that'd be great.
Your mic off.
Yeah. No worries, that's better. That is much better. So there's. I don't think we're going to ever answer the whole subject of workflow. I think it's too big a subject to talk about over a couple of drinks in the bar. What we have done is by doing this and by doing future events, we've got another one Tuesday, another one the following Thursday. We're stuck indoors. We're reaching out. We're trying to build a bit of a community where people can openly ask questions, not for financial gain, but to spread a bit of a community spirit within the print industry to try and help anyone who does need a little bit of help. There's a video of this performance that is going to be made available within the Crown Pub, which is on LinkedIn. It's got its own LinkedIn page now, and Milo will send details for everyone and direct people there.
Now I know why Tim Cox combed what hair he's got left. Now I bloody know. You didn't warn me before. I'd have had to share. Pretty sure.
There's no way you could be any better looking, Paul Stead. There is no way. But you know, if anybody's got any questions, if we can help, if we can just put other people in touch with other people and they can help people through this difficult time. We're having community spirit out in the street. We're helping our neighbours. If we can help other people in our own industry that we all earn from and we put something back, then that can only be a good thing. We've got, looking here, we've got some excellent experts in different areas.
Yeah.
You know, Sarah had to shoot off early from Route 1. Great. She's really enjoyed it. She's really keen to get involved, get back and help anybody that's there. She's one of the 3 Wimbledon girls. We've got Elizabeth here from Stephen Austin. We've got Lucy from Nutshell Creative, who all had I was blessed with being able to take them to Wimbledon and have a spectacular day entertaining those 3 amazing professional.
Are you prone to exaggeration, Kelvin, or is it just something that comes naturally to you?
It comes natural. I have 3 of you. So,
Definitely natural, Elizabeth.
yeah, if there's anything we can do, get in touch. Milo, anything to say?
Yes, I would like to, if you don't mind, I would like to obviously publish this video that we recorded. Hope that's okay. I will also include your LinkedIn profiles on our Crown Pub post, let's say. And so people who are interested in what has happened, in what just has happened, they will have direct links to you guys, and they will be able to contact you should they want and have it, you know, further conversation with all of you. And obviously you are welcome next time on Tuesday. We would like you to come as well. We'll be talking about web to print, what is it and does it work and when it works. Basically, you know, try to understand and explain those kind of things. This subject, and the list is long, shall I say, of the subjects, and we will be developing and showing them later on. Probably I'll publish them next today or tomorrow, all the information for the next week and the weeks to come. So yeah, thank you very much, and cheers to all of you. Thank you for coming.
Cheers.
And hopefully next session will be even more appealing.
This is our first, and we're going to run more. And Andy Banks has just messaged me.
I want to know what the dog thinks. I want to know what the dog thinks.
Andy Banks has just messaged me. Lots of options. I know there was. We were talking about your other comment, Andy, as we're going through. Lots of options to talk more about. I think. Listen, if you've got any feedback, let's have the subjects that you want to talk about. We'll talk about anything. We'll run more of these. If you want to talk about something in particular, showcase something, a problem, an answer, or anything, just let us know. We've got 2 sessions a week, and we'll fill them. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well done, Vpress.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Bye.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Kel.
Hello.
We done a lock-in.
We can have a lock-in if you want. Lucy, I just read your comment at the end there.
Yeah, what is the whole point of this? I came in halfway through, so I thought it started at 3, but at 3:30, but I think it started at 3.
Yeah,
it started a little bit earlier. Lucy, I came.
Oh my God! And now I can actually see everybody. Kelvin, your shirt is ridiculous.
So while
Tim, you look really smart.
So
as
while
always.
we're talking, I get a message from Lucy. I thought we were supposed to go into the pub, for fuck's sake.